take back our country. Can you imagine? They stole $18 billion. That's just what we're learning about. That's peanuts. In California is worse, Illinois is worse, and sadly New York is worse.
So what's so amazing about what I'm doing right now with my journalism is that it's actually creating change. So people are mad at me for this though. You're seeing them come at me on CBS, CNN, and every single time they point out something, they say, conservative YouTuber, MAGA YouTuber. They just can't admit that I'm creating real change inside of the country right now. And never before has one of their investigations ever led to a point where they say, oh wait, we're gonna stop funding and we're gonna make sure everything's legit before we start giving them money. I mean, I could, with that video alone, I could have just saved the country hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars.
Ladies and gentlemen, new year, new me. That's what this woke anchor from CBS News is saying. Tony Dokupil, however the heck you pronounce his last name, is swearing. He's solemnly swearing his allegiance to the American people in the truth, because you can absolutely trust everything that he's going to say. So first off, happy New Year's to everybody who's watching, except for this fake news anchor, because you can't trust anything this guy's saying. Of course, we know we got Barry Wise up in there, and she's trying to straighten the place out, but she's receiving extreme opposition, including from people who work at this organization, for just trying to purport the truth, or trying to report both sides of everything, rather than having everything be presented through a left-wing lens and framing where everything has to be against conservatives and Republicans all the time. So this guy's over here literally groveling. Please watch CBS News, please. And then right afterward, they published a story saying that this Somali fraud is not going on. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and react to this. By the way, guys, there's a new feature on YouTube where you can hype videos. So be sure to like the video, hype the video. It helps out a lot. Appreciate you.
A lot has changed since the first person sat in this chair. But for me, the biggest difference is people do not trust us like they used to.
Nope.
And it's not just us. It's all of legacy media.
It's 'cause
and
you
I
lied.
get it. I get it because I've been hearing about it from just about everybody for more than 20 years as I've traveled America on this assignment or that. My mom's neighbors in West Virginia.
Even by saying that, you're kind of downplaying, because for the last 20 years, it wasn't straight up dishonesty. I went back and watched I watch news clips all the time, including old ones, and there's plenty of news where they just report exactly what the known facts are, and there's no framing involved, including at CBS News. It wasn't until probably about the last decade, really when Trump came around, that everything started being this insane, just leftist framing and just left-wing hacks just taking over everything, really around, like, I would say, that 2015 timeframe, because Trump was running to win in 2016. So yeah, around that 2015 timeframe. So about 10 years, roughly, this has been going on.
And yet, my own neighbors in New York City, thousands and thousands of conversations in between. Sometimes people want to talk to me about our coverage of NAFTA or the Iraq War. Other times it's all about Hillary Clinton's emails or Russiagate. Or more recently, COVID lockdowns, Hunter Biden's laptop, or the president's fitness for office. The point is, on too many stories, the press has missed the story because we've taken into account the perspective of advocates and not the average American. Or we put too much weight in the analysis of academics or elites and not enough on you. And I know this because at certain points, I have been you. I have felt this way too. I felt like what I was seeing and hearing on the news didn't reflect what I was seeing and hearing in my own life, and that the most urgent questions simply weren't being asked. So here's my promise to you, today and every time you see me in this chair. You come first, not advertisers, not politicians, not corporate interests. And yes, that does include the corporate owners of CBS. I report for you, which means I tell you what I know, when I know it, and how I know it. And when I get it wrong, I'll tell you that too. It also means I'm going to talk to everybody and hold everyone in public life to the very same standard. After all, I became a journalist to talk to people. I love talking to people about what works in this country, what doesn't, and not only what should change, but the good ideas that should never change. I think telling the truth is one of them. I'm Tony DeCopel, the anchor of the CBS Evening News. Hold me to it.
Yeah, trust me, we will. This is the same thing, similar, that fake tapper of CNN said. And what does he do? He goes on X and posts negative stuff about Trump pretty much every day and never says anything negative about the Democrats ever. So it doesn't matter. He came out with one book so he could grift off of it, make a bunch of money off of something that he literally helped to do, which is cover for Sleepy Joe's cognitive decline. Made some money off of that after covering the Democrats' ass, and now he's back to attacking Trump and Republicans constantly. So I take what this guy's saying as a grain of salt, because we're going to react to another clip that is literally posted around the same time. I don't know if it was before or after, but it's right around the same time, with CBS News, not necessarily the same exact guy, but CBS News trying to defend this daycare debacle that we've been talking about these last couple days, maybe this last week or so, trying to say, well, hey, we found some kids inside one of the daycare, so what's the problem? No evidence of fraud. Nah, we got some receipts. We're going to talk about this in a moment. I'll make sure my audio's on here.
Yeah, numbers.
Director Ahmed Hassan gave WCCO a tour after finding his daycare in the national spotlight.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center.
In a now viral video, right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley claims nearly a dozen daycare centers in Minnesota are taking public funds but not providing a service. He says ABC Learning Center is one of them, knocking on the door in mid-December.
I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Hassan says his employee didn't respond because Shirley was in a group of about 8 people, and his staff were concerned about recent ICE activity.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day.
It's like a different entrance.
About 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. A larger family heads inside a few hours later.
That is, it says 3:41 p.m.
2 hours later. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center, which is licensed with the state. Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related to day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
What did I do? I'm just a typical human being who wants to live and do the right thing. I have kids to feed.
Umi Hassan, the daycare's current owner, believes these latest fraud accusations are political. Both she and Hassan are Somali Americans.
We pay our taxes. We do whatever we can to be a law-abiding citizen. At the same time, when one Somali does something wrong, we all get collective punishment.
With Shirley's video now approaching 2.3 million views on YouTube alone, they say they are getting non-stop phone calls harassing them.
I was looking for a place for my granddaughter.
With many of those calls attached to out-of-state phone numbers.
They normally say, knock, knock, we're gonna come. We're gonna arrest, something like that.
Hassan says they turned over attendance records to comply with the Department of Homeland Security request. They're now waiting to hear back. CBS News is reviewing records related to the same daycares. All but 2 have active licenses. And Aaron, while the active places have violations related to safety or staff training, there's no recorded evidence.
This is CBS News, ladies and gentlemen. So again, while not the same guy, this is still completely fraudulent. You can pull up the record for the place, which I already did, of course, right here. And this place, ABC Learning Center, okay, their capacity is 40. Okay, I got it highlighted on the screen. Capacity is 40. In the video, they show way less than 40 people showing up. Now, for the untrained individuals, you might think, well, what's the problem? I mean, not every daycare operates at capacity. Have you ever been to a daycare before? Or tried to check kids into a daycare? In order to receive this money, you have to operate at 97% capacity. Almost 100%. Okay, and if you do operate under that, they literally reduce the amount of funds that you receive. As far as we know, these places have not been receiving reduced funding. It appears as though when necessary, they try to pretend as though they have they meet the capacity requirements of 97% for the majority of programs. Then right after they do that and receive the money, then all of a sudden they just go back to, they tell their little friends or family, all right, go back to doing whatever it is that you're doing, because they said at most, just so you guys know, CBS contacted this place ahead of time and said, hey, can we come do an interview? They say, sure. They go in and all of a sudden they got a dozen kids, when in the surveillance video, they didn't even have a dozen kids come in. And they had a bunch of people show up at the end of the day, but it still wasn't a dozen. But then all of a sudden, CBS News is coming to interview us. Hey, guys, ring, ring, ring. Hey, guys, we need some people to show up here. Stat! Right, mother effing now. And they can only manage to get 12. If you have people, somebody shows up saying, hey, where the kids at? And you know it could be some sort of inspector. And then hours later, all of a sudden, some kids mysteriously show up. But early in the day, it's like 2 kids enter the facility. Let's walk this down the path. Early in the day, 2 kids enter the facility. Nick Shirley shows up. They don't open the door. Hours later, a whole van full of kids jump out. Hours later, doesn't it come across as though they're trying to fix or amend the situation to prevent people from saying that they're committing fraudulent acts? Isn't this really convenient, guys? You got people showing up to a different daycare, breaking in and talking about, oh, they stole all the files, they stole our attendance records.
Of what they say vandals did. Now, this is where they say the vandals got into the daycare through cinder block and appeared to be unsuccessful when trying many other ways. The daycare says it appears the vandals first tried to saw into the door of the Family Dollar next door in the shopping center, but that didn't work. The manager claims those who broke in went straight to the office, stealing information of the many children who were taken care of here.
We are not a part of any harmful things that are being said.
Just shut the fuck up. At a certain point, just shut the fuck up.
Guys, none of this makes any sense. I'm not saying that none of these daycares are legitimate, but what I am saying is that it does appear as though none of them are legitimate. So obviously, maybe 1 or 2 of these places is actually doing what they're supposed to do. Who the freak knows? You can only really know after it's prosecuted and there's a real prosecution, not some fraudulent. I don't really trust Minnesota at this point. I need something federal from the DOJ or something, because I don't trust Minnesota to do it. They're too busy trying to cover their ass for the Democrats and to carry water for these immigrants, I guess. But guys, no matter how much groveling what these people are trying to do, this is the equivalent, the fake news I'm talking about, is this the equivalent of like you ever worked a job and then you kept telling whoever you reported to about a problem and they just ignored it, and then finally just start having mistakes happen, you weren't meeting some goals, people start quitting, just all of this chaos start happening, and then it all starts to fall on to this douchebag who just would not listen. And then all of a sudden they want to have a serious conversation. Guys, we know, I know a lot of stuff's been happening. I haven't really been listening to you guys like I should, but I promise I'm going to turn over a new leaf and I'm going to do everything. And then guess what? They don't do jack-ish. They do the same thing as always. It's false promises, try to cover their ass. And that's exactly what's happening here with CNN fake news, with CBS. They're all trying to pretend as though they're turning over a new leaf while simultaneously continuing to do the same thing. This was all deliberate, guys. They deliberately were selling fake news. They deliberately were talking to elites. They were deliberately ignoring you. They think that they're smarter than you. And in some ways, maybe academically, they are. That doesn't mean that in terms of how your life is going, how your economics are going, and that doesn't mean suddenly men can be women. None of that stuff is true. So these people love to control you because they feel like they have more degrees or accolades, or, somebody makes way more money or something. And they also think that we're stupid enough to believe that they're going to suddenly turn over a new leaf. And I'm just telling you right now that it's a bunch of BS, and I don't believe it even for second. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out. Big shout out to my members, Cybernoodle 655, Bella Scott, and Carpentier John. Could not do it without you.
How are there people defending the fake daycare situation right now with the Somalis in Minnesota and now Ohio and probably many other places? How are there people actually defending this, defending the daycares? Oh, they're just attacking Somalis. How is not every American on the same page for once?